Okay, good afternoon, Professor Arun, and thanks a lot for giving your time for YourPedia education.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay, Professor Arun, today our interaction will be related to Spic Macay, sir, and I'll be interacting with you in that direction only. So I normally make my homework before I go for such interactions. So today also I made some kind of questionnaire points. So I will go with one by one. So my first point, Professor Arun, is related to Spic Macay only. What is this all about? What is this all about? If you can tell that to the audience.
Well, that's a very long question, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Spic Macay is supplementing education. We felt there is need for uh, going beyond narrow specialization and students must be exposed. So, in fact, if I can say so, multiple studies link music study with academic achievement. You know,
Right, sir.
uh, it seems to correlate with success in other fields, and none less than Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. What he had to say was innovation would require a blend of technology and liberal arts, and education system should encourage such pollination rather than focus on narrow specialization.
True.
So there's a lot that can be said. Clearly, many eminent people were incidentally musicians. I mean, if you remember our former president, Dr. Abdul Kalam, he's a missile scientist,
Yeah.
but he played the veena.
Right. True.
Dr. Ramanna, who was responsible for the first atomic implosion that we had in India, he played the piano. And the great mathematician Srinivasan Ramanujan, he had a classical music background. Einstein, when we talk of gravity waves and all that, played the violin. So, uh, so our purpose has been to broad-base education, really, and take it to schools and colleges all over the country.
So,
So that's
Professor Arun, sorry to interrupt you, sir,
yeah.
but all these things are to be inculcated from outside, or they are innate, sir. They are the inborn, or they are to be inculcated from outside. What is your take on that?
Our purpose is to expose them, to develop an interest in it. You see, ultimately, our belief is that it helps you to concentrate.
True.
You know, if you many things around our heritage helps you to concentrate.
True.
Mind does not wander. Now, if you do yoga and you inhale and you exhale, you concentrate on your breath as you inhale and exhale. When you sing and you do nad yoga, you're concentrating on the note that you're singing.
True.
The note, you may not have the note, get the note correctly, in which case you have to concentrate to bring it to the right note.
It's true.
Similarly, when you dance, it's the posture. You have to concentrate to get the right posture. It doesn't happen just like that. So this concentration, if you bring to your academics, you will be so much more productive.
That's true.
And in anything that you do, not just academics, if you concentrate. You see, after all, uh, what is the purpose of education? To prepare you to face the world, isn't it?
True.
But who knows what the world will be like 30 years from now? Nobody.
Very true.
So, and we won't be around 30 years from now. So, but they must survive and succeed in that world
It's true.
30 years from now. So it's this concentration. So what you cram by rote is not going to help you. Things will change. I mean, even when I did my engineering, we used a slide rule. Today, the students don't even know what a slide rule is. When I did management many years ago, digital marketing was an unheard of concept. Unknown, absolutely. So things will change. And the whole purpose of education is to prepare you to face that changed world. And these are things that will help you.
Okay. Professor Arun, my question was a little related to the evolution of this movement, Speak Macay movement in India, sir. If you can throw some light on that.
Yes. So, well, it started, let me tell you, I would go back even to prior to the movement being formed, because we were students of IIT Kharagpur. And there was a gentleman, D. Sen, who was in the stores department, not even in the faculty really. He was just in the. But he would organize an overnight classical music concert and get the legends of the time during the time of the convocation at IIT Kharagpur. Now, this is an individual attempt. It was not a IIT Kharagpur thing. Uh, but in the spirit of giving, he would just organize it and we students would go, and not, we were not necessarily interested. But it planted a seed. It planted a seed, and then the story goes. I mean, what Dr. Kiran Seth talks about. Now, he was a student at IIT Kharagpur those days. This was 1970s. He graduated, and he went to Columbia. And whilst he was doing his PhD there, there was a concert at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in New York, where Nasir Aminuddin Dagar and Zia Fariduddin Dagar performed there. And he went to the concert, and it completely moved him. He realized there's so much uh, mysticism, etc., in our heritage, that this is what we need to take to the youth. And so when he came back to India, IIT Delhi, in 77, he started Spic Macay movement. Now it started at IIT Delhi, but slowly spread to Delhi University, and then we went to other cities and towns, Bhopal, and then we moved on. And now it's all over the country. So
Sure.
it's a movement all over. And then the students graduating from here have gone abroad and startups set up chapters there.
Okay.
And we try and help them there.
So it
So
started from IT Delhi, we can say.
that's right, formally.
Okay, that's correct.
Yeah.
Professor Arun, I want to ask you, sir, how Indian classical music, though you have given some idea about that,
Yeah.
fine arts, combination of technology, and this part is very important. So, how does this culture and music help Indian youth, especially in today's time when there's a lot of deviations and distractions and materialism? So, how does it help the Indian youth?
So I think I've said some of it. When it can help you to concentrate,
Right, sir.
you become more productive. And I mentioned how when you inhale and exhale and when you sing, uh, let me quote Professor Manjul Bhargav, the Fields Medal winner, professor of mathematics at Princeton University. And the Fields Medal, as you know, is given once every 4 years, is like the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for mathematics. So he had to say that there's something about classical music that made one more creative, even in other endeavors. He believes including classical music in the school curriculum, the country would produce not just better artists, but better scientists, judges, innovators, and in general, better human beings. He plays the tabla. Manjul Bhargav plays the tabla.
Okay.
And he has often said that, when he's stuck on mathematics, he goes to his tabla. When he gets stuck there, he goes back to mathematics. And in this process, he's able to move the frontiers of knowledge.
Okay.
So it helps him.
So can we also say, sir, this inclination of youth towards classical music will make them strong also, and the problems which we face nowadays of depression and stress, these can also be ameliorated to some extent.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, today, thanks to Twitter, etc., everything is so transient. It's so superficial. I mean, your messaging is in 140 words, and that's it. You
Yeah,
know, and actually, to achieve anything, you need to give a chunk of time. You need to go into depth. And if you don't go to depth, you'll probably never achieve anything. And this classical music, which has a lot of creativity in it. In fact, in our rag, there are certain boundary conditions, but within that, there's total flexibility. So the same artist would sing the same rag differently at different times. Different artists would sing the same rag differently. It's there is creativity possible, and the rag defines certain parameters. These are the notes, etc., etc. Within that, there's infinite possibilities which come about.
So when Professor Arun, when we talk about culture, so what
Yeah.
aspect do we talk about, sir? What aspect? Music, I understand, classical music, but what
Culture is
about
a very
culture?
wide term.
Yes, sir.
Even dress is culture. Food is culture. It's a very wide term.
Right.
Uh, uh, Spic Macay, as you know, stands for Indian classical music and culture amongst youth. So, uh, will we, in this process of creating awareness about Indian classical, we would like to focus a lot on classical music, both Carnatic, Hindustani, instrumental and vocal, classical dance, folk dance, heritage walks, take them to places, let them see. There's even spiritual music, Sufi, Qawwali, Gurbani, yoga, literature, theater, classic films, talk by eminent social workers, painting, fine arts, textiles, weaving, embroidery, the crafts, paper mache, cane basket weaving. There's such a vast, even crafts is such a wide term. I mean, you have so many painting forms, Gond, uh, Madhubani. It's There is so much. In fact, crafts is, it's the second largest uh, employer after agriculture in India. There's such variety, and of course, in our conventions, we do get to bring about all this, uh, the variety,
Yeah.
the because when you have 1,500 students coming, you have to have about 50 odd workshops running simultaneously. So there is music and dance, but then crafts also.
Right, sir.
It's a lot of attention.
Right, sir.
Yeah. So
So, Professor Arun, it was, I don't know, it was mere coincidence that it was started by Professor Kiran Seth, who was faculty in IIT Delhi, that Spic Macay started from there. That is a premium technical institute of India. But my question to you, sir, is is the relevance of what philosophy Macay has, like culture and classical music, is the relevance of that for technocrat more than others, or requirement for technocrats is more than others? That is my question to you.
you see, it will help technocrats, no doubt. I mean, like I quoted Steve Jobs. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
he makes designs products,
Right,
and
sir.
there's a lot of technical inputs into his products. In fact, they say he was when he recruits, he would look for people who would have uh, some art inputs along with their engineering. His selection was such. I mean, he was so confident in this decision rule of his, and the results were there to see. Today, Apple is now $1 trillion market capitalization.
Yeah, that's true.
It's no doubt.
Yeah. Professor Arun, when nowadays, when students go for recruitment, just now you mentioned about Steve Job recruitment process
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
When they go for that, sir, there is normally a question asked like, what are your hobbies and interest? That looks like more a mechanized question to students, and they just find the same hobbies, playing music, listening music, without even having that actually thing in them. So
Yeah.
I want to know you, sir, hobbies and interest are something which can be inculcated from the very beginning, or is this something which they have it, or it cannot be taught, or something like that?
Well, music is taught. I mean, the Guru Shishya Parampara is that. Uh, uh, so like I said, if you're not singing the right note with concentration, you're going to bring it. So uh, I can't say it is certainly taught.
Right, sir.
Now, let me put it like when you go for interviews, I think if you say that you are a Spic Macay volunteer and have experience in Spic Macay, I think that's a big plus.
Okay.
Many students have got back to us saying that
It helped them.
it has certainly helped them.
That's true.
Uh, so uh, I'm sure the world is getting wiser to it, and
Sir, nowadays, like connectivity is good. I'm talking to you sitting all the way different place from India. So
yes,
the graduate sir who is graduating from some college where Professor Kiran Seth is not there or Professor Arun Sahay is not there, and nobody knows Speak Macay except he knows it through internet. How he can proceed forward? A student, how he can proceed forward and get benefited from these kind of things.
see, internet, as I said, is the situation today, and it probably will last some time, maybe years, a year or two. But in my opinion, there's nothing like the real live experience.
That's true.
There are other values that the students learn. I mean, if when a student goes to receive the artist, I mean, he shows respect. These are other values. See, it's not these are not things taught in textbooks,
That's true.
but these values come when he shows respect, looks after the artist's every needs, serves food to him or whatever, whatever. You're showing respect.
In person experience is different.
Absolutely. So that is so. But since we cannot, in fact, students are not there in schools and colleges today because, and necessarily because it will spread. The COVID will spread. So this is a fallback arrangement, yes. But uh, the other downside is that we've certainly been able to extend our reach. I mean, many old volunteers sitting abroad are now able to actively connect with our things, the concerts that we are organizing online. Uh, in fact, coming forward on the 15th, we have a Shraddhanjali for Dr. Krishnan, Professor Krishnan, who passed away recently. We had one for Pandit Jasraj. And it's amazing the numbers that came on to witness that. We couldn't certainly have achieved anything of the sort. I mean, like I said, when we have a convention, 1,500 students, what we can accommodate in an IIT campus or something like that, it's limited to that. But for them, it's a lifetime experience. So now we're able to reach lakhs from 1,500, but it's not the same experience.
True, sir.
And the whole game is experiences, you see.
Yes. That is a real learning actually.
Yeah, that's the real learning.
Professor Arun, I would like you to tell us something about the challenges Speak Macay movement faced and the achievements so far, briefly.
Well, in terms of achievements, I think today we are recognized as being the foremost in the country for preserving India's intangible heritage. I think even the government recognizes it because we expose our youth to our heritage. The youth will be the audiences tomorrow. And when there are audiences, then the arts will flourish. And there are audiences, then the more artists will come in. It's also a livelihood for them. So certainly that recognition is there. And conversely, there are certain dying art forms, and we do, Drupad, Kudiyattam, Rudravina, Sarangi, Gutuvadyam, they are on the verge of extinction. So we do take these artists of these dying art forms to students all over the country and kind of give them an opportunity to show their art. And then from there, take off. As more people see, they'll call them and, give them an opportunity and so prevent. Because once something dies, it's going to be impossible to recreate. Like uh, it's like nature in a natural forest sort of thing.
It's true, sir.
You may have plantations, but it's not the same. The undergrowth and the diversity and the variety that grows
Right, sir.
is amazing. And it's amazing the diversity that we have in our country. In fact, we say unity in diversity. It's not an empty slogan. I mean, at our conventions, you can see it. You have
Kind of.
students from all over the country.
It's true.
Assam,
Yeah.
Mizoram, Manipur. Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, all over coming. And they interact with each other, these students. And then the art forms are from all over the country, you know.
It's true.
It's
That's the beauty.
it's a beauty. It's
It's true.
really makes me very proud being an Indian.
It's true.
You get to see it
That's true,
all
sir.
there.
Professor Arun, my next point of discussion is, sir, about the different verticals and domains of mental enrichment which this movement has, because it is not, when we talk about culture and classical music, it further diversifies into certain domains or certain areas of mental enrichment. And we also talk about four pillars of Spic Macay. So I want you to throw some light on that, sir.
You see, this mental enrichment, as you said, around culture. I mean, we are focused. I can't say we've gone beyond culture because itself, as it is, in fact, when we go around to schools and colleges, and I say for no fault of theirs, our youth are not exposed to our heritage. Absolutely for no. Because A, the parents may be so busy, long working hours. The students have academic pressures that they just don't go to cultural program, classical musical programs or something. So they don't know. And when we go to schools and colleges all over the country, and we've been asking, how many of you attended a classical music? I would say barely one or two hand go up. So I would say 95%, 98% of our youth don't know our heritage. That's the fact. And so uh, our task is more in this direction in exposing our youth to our heritage and filling this void.
That's true.
And I think some of the our efforts are paying off because the new education policy 2020 even talks of now bringing this into the curriculum. You know, it's no longer extracurricular.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Professor Arun, my next question is, sir, you mentioned that Speak Macay movement also, one aspect of that is interacting with the eminent personalities. I want to know you, sir, in which domain? Eminent personalities are of different domains. So which domain do we focus? And if students wants to get benefited through such interaction, where they can see that interaction or get benefited from that?
See, we have the talk module. That's one of the modules. It's not only talks that we have. We have talk modules. Uh, uh, Now one can get basically we want the person to be inspiring.
True.
So for instance, around social work, there are many who've done inspiring work.
Right.
Uh, when it comes to films, some of the great directors, Adur Gopalakrishnan, etc., that caliber, after their films, we do ask them to talk about that film and things like that. So, and that's very inspiring for the youngsters. You know, nothing. I mean, imagine seeing a film and then getting asking questions of the director, what he had in mind, etc., etc. When the scenes that came up in the and many of these scenes really are described as pieces of art. Absolutely.
So can students listen to that or watch somewhere, sir? Do we
That's the
have
whole
this?
idea. When
Okay.
we organize these talks, etc.
Okay.
Sure, we want to go. Our objective is to reach every child if we can.
Okay.
Like all of them to come.
Okay. Okay.
But it is a module, as I said, it is not the only module, you know.
Right, sir. Professor Arun, when we talk about deep transformational experience for students, what is the meaning of that, sir?
Well, like I mentioned about Manjul Bhargav, he said, you'll have better human beings.
Okay.
That's a transformation, isn't it? I mean, if uh, if our youth could be so considerate and respectful in these values, and much that is not taught in textbooks actually,
Right, sir.
but if they get to expose to that and they appreciate it and they in turn uh, I think that's transformation in its own way.
Right, sir. So, Professor Arun, in science, we talk about a concept of resonance, where I think that your frequency matches with the natural frequency of someone and the resonance happens. So for this, like somebody to get really get transformed through Indian classical music or culture, do you need to have that kind of chord inside individual also?
Well, perhaps that is what we are seeking anyways.
Right, sir.
When we take uh, the artists to schools and colleges, some of the children resonate, to use your word.
Right, sir.
They get so inspired uh, that they come to do a lot. Then many volunteers come back to Spic Macay.
Right, sir.
The resonance is there, and they would like to amplify it, uh, by volunteering with Spic Macay.
That's true. If some students sir wants to join Speak Macay movement, how it is possible for him? How he can join it? This particular
Well,
movement.
on our website, of course, it is we have volunteer for Speak Macay.
Okay.
They can go there, but there are no application forms. I mean, we'd be delighted and grateful if they can give some time.
Okay.
Now, there are certain verticals that we talk about where they can contribute. Fundraising could be one, uh, with government, with private sector. Media could be another. Artist care could be another. The various verticals and organizing programs, etc., etc. So the various kinds of things that whatever appeals to them, we'd appreciate their contributions.
Okay. So you visit the website and see on yourself
Yeah,
whatever you can do. Yeah.
tell us and we'll get back to them.
Great.
Or, of course, they do come when we go for orientations to schools and colleges. Many come forward
Okay.
and join.
Okay.
Uh, there is no
Professor.
entry bar. I mean, there's no interview or something. It's your giving,
Okay.
and we'd be
That's true.
happy to receive.
Okay. Professor, you also mentioned that you go to schools and all these things. So I was wondering, like, every age group has different problems, different requirements. So like a school kid may not have same problems or same requirements like a college student. So sir, how Speak Macay caters to the needs of different age groups?
That is true. For instance, to our conventions, school children do also come. So we make a norm that 5 students from a school must be accompanied by a teacher from that school.
Okay.
That teacher then takes care of their needs and escorts them. And the teacher becomes the media through whom we can convey our messages, because after all, it's such a tightly packed schedule during the 7 days at a convention that it's very important to adhere to time schedules. So these teachers then will be responsible to ensure that their students come and attend all the programs and attend to have their meals at the right time and freshen up at the right time and everything, because the day is packed. They get up at 3:30 in the morning to do yoga from 4 to 7. Then we have Shamdan, so they clean up the premises of the host institution. Then they have their breakfast, and then they have the intensives in the morning, 9 to 12. It's a very, then again lunch, and then the afternoon talks and cinema classics or even folk performances, etc., etc. Then tea, dinner very early, and then the the evening classical music programs. So it's a packed schedule,
Okay.
and it's the students then. So maybe a child traveling alone, like I said, students from all parts of the country congregate. So there's travel involved, there is tight schedule involved, and a whole lot of things. So the youngsters, the college students, of course, are more independent, can do it, but uh, certainly school children need to be escorted, and that's also one way of ensuring the diversity. Not too many come from only one place.
Okay.
When we say only 5, then many more schools have to participate,
That's true, sir.
and from all
That's
over
true.
the country. So
Okay. Professor Arun, my last point of discussion today is about the future plans of Speak Macay movement.
well, we want to reach every child.
Okay.
Now, when we are doing 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 programs, I mean, when the academic session is on, at any one day, 20 programs could be happening somewhere or the other in the country. So that's seems very big. But then when you're talking of 7,000 programs, but there are 17 lakh schools in the country. So really, there's miles to go. We have a very long way ahead. We is only the tip of the iceberg as of now. Uh, so more volunteers, more funds, more everything will take us there. The
So
challenge is the funds, as I said.
initiating is the problem, sir, or sustainability is the problem for these kind of movements?
Well, we've been around 43 years, so you can't say sustainable. The model we follow actually by having planning circuits. You see what our volunteers do. If an artist gives us, say, 1 week of his time, then we organize a circuit and they go hopping from various chapters, maybe even various towns. And this is the coordination that takes place. There are volunteers in each of these things. The artist goes to town A, then does 2 performance concerts there, then moves to town B, does 2 concerts there, and move on. So in a week, 5 days, they'd probably do 10 concerts in different locations, and how one volunteer would hand over the artist to the next volunteer, and again they would look after them and take care of their needs and things like that. Arrangements at the concerts, etc., etc. And that's what makes it sustainable now. The expenses now are shared by so many chapters. The travel of the artist to that place, and then so many chapters pick up the tab, as it were, to share the expense. That's what makes it sustainable. Similarly, for the artists, uh, they perform for a cause, for a pittance, I say. In fact, we're so honored that they do it for us. And they're the best artists in the country, the Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, SNA awardees, the best, because we have to take the best artists to the students, because we know they are not exposed, not aware of our heritage. If something substandard comes and performs, they say, what's the use of this heritage? Let it go. So we take the best. So
Yes.
that's a norm. And now when they do 10 programs at 10 times, delta becomes a respectable amount.
That's true. That's true.
So there also is good. And our objective, as I said, is to maximize the exposure, to go to as many as we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, though we have come to an end, sir, but I wanted to ask some query I wanted to have. Like
Yes.
Professor Kiran said, was the person who started this from IT Delhi. Is he
Yeah.
still actively involved in this, sir?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I would say uh, he's so passionate about it
Yes, I know.
that he even tests the boundary limits and pushes it further and further and further. He's passionately involved. In fact, uh, people like me who be conditioned by management and things like that. Uh, if we had our way, there would be no Spic Macay.
Okay, that's true, sir.
You need that passion to really test
Yes, sir.
the limits and
Yes,
take it further and further and further.
yes, sir.
And
So,
there are disappointments, people not happening, money is not there, this happens, that happens.
that's true.
But nevertheless, you keep on.
Professor Arun, it was a great and rich session, sir, from your side, and I'm delighted at the end and honored to have interaction with you, and a lot of information which flowed from you, sir. I'm very sure this is going to help lakhs of the students over there and
I hope so. Yes.
enlighten them for this movement.
And ask them to come and join us and help
Sure,
us take it
sure, I'll do,
forward.
sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
You're most welcome.
Thanks a
Yes.
lot, sir.